Hi, health and PE teachers. Janelle here from Project School Wellness, and I am so excited to share this incredible activity that I did at the end of last school year in my kids' classroom. So my kids are 3 and 6, and I went into their classroom as a parent volunteer and did this activity. But even though they're 3 and 6, this is something you can literally do with any grade level, whatever you are teaching. If you're doing elementary, middle school, high school health, even if you're working on like some peer stuff or parent activities, this is an activity you can literally do with everyone. So I'm really excited to share it with you. And basically, what this activity is, it combines this incredible book, Bodies Are Cool, with this self-portrait activity. So I'm going to break down kind of what I did when I went into my kids' classroom, and then how you can also use the template. I have a Canva template that I'm going to share with you so you can print your own self-portraits for your students to use, and I'll just do a little bit of a screen share showing basically how to do that. So let's dive in. All right. If you have been around my YouTube page or hanging out on the Project School Wellness newsletter, you may have heard me talk about how my number one priority right now as a teacher, as a curriculum designer, as a health advocate is all about prioritizing the relationship that our students have with their bodies. So in my opinion, the relationship we have with our body is literally the most important relationship in our lives, impacts how we move through the world, impacts how we do everything. And it is what I really believe should be our number one focus as health and PE teachers. And then in connection to that, I wholeheartly believe that one of the key ways that we can intentionally nurture this relationship with our students is by embracing body neutrality and bringing the concept of body neutrality into our practice as health and PE teachers. Now, if those are two concepts that you're like, what are you talking about, Janelle? Don't even know, like just get to the free lesson plan that you're going to give me. Well, let me just say you can watch some of my previous videos. I'll link to it in the video here, and I'll link to it also in the description. And I also have some short clips, and I have a full workshop that a free, if you want it to, it's a pay what you can workshop, so you can access that. And it dives into I think really the necessity and why it's critical that we are being really intentional about understanding how we're influencing the relationship that students have with their body, and then using body neutrality to help students nurture and promote this relationship. So real quick, just, cliff notes, relationship we have with our body, how we see our body, how we think about our body, how we feel about our body, and then how we act as a result of how we feel, think, and how we feel, see, and think about our bodies. And that just impacts how we move everywhere in the world, how we do everything, how our students show up in class, who they engage with, if they engage, if they don't engage, how they interpret what you're teaching them, all of these different things. And then body neutrality is this really incredible concept and idea and just way of thinking where we recognize that a person's true value comes from their internal self rather than their external self. So essentially it's all about positioning people over bodies, and it's all about knowing innately that your body is good, and that just like your body being good, you are worthy. So definitely check out those videos, because those are two concepts that have radically changed everything about how I teach and how I design learning experiences, how I, lead professional developments, how I work with schools when I'm consulting with them, all these things literally has changed everything. So definitely check those out. All right, that was a long introduction, but let's look at the activity now. So like I said, this activity all centered on this book, Bodies Are Cool. And if you have not seen this book, I highly recommend it. It is an incredible book. And the author here is Tyler, author and illustrator. You can see on the front that this book is different than other books about bodies, right? A lot of books we see about bodies, it's like very picture perfect looking people promoting very specific cultural standards and expectations. And we see here that this book here is all about being real and authentic and showing real people. And the premise of this book really is just showing all of the ways that our bodies are cool. And whether that be if they look different, whether they function differently, if their age is different, the body parts they have are different, everything. It is just this unreal book that just shows the expansiveness of what humanity looks like and how they live and how they function. And it's really not about like pointing out these key differences. Rather, when I read it especially with my oldest who's 6, it's all about recognizing just the beauty and amazingness of how every single body is unique and special and amazing in their own way. And when I see my 6-year-old read this, he really just looks at all these bodies with awe and wonder. And I love it so much because if you depending on what type of an environment you live in, you might only encounter very specific types of bodies. And I love that this book acts as a window to all of these different types of bodies that maybe my kids don't see on a regular basis, but it's also a mirror in that if you are a body that is not usually represented, it's in this book and you're able to see yourself reflected in this book. And that's just so beautiful. I love it so much. And so one of the pages I love the most is this ice cream page. And you see, if you look at this page, that each cone of ice cream is reflective of the person eating the ice cream. And my kids love this so much. They're so amazed that the ice cream can look like the person. And I just think that it's so valuable and important that they see all of these different bodies and they recognize that they are cool, that the bodies are cool. I love that it's not based on beauty or ugly or any sort of like metric of cultural defined beauty standards. It's simply that bodies are cool. And that's basically just like saying bodies are good. And I love that. So now when my kids go out, like, maybe we're at Target or we're at, walking around downtown or something, and they see people that their skin reflects some of these images here, and they're just like in awe because they've seen it in their book and they loved it in the book and they appreciated it in the book, and then they see people in real life that reflect these different illustrations and they're just in awe and they're just amazed at the people that they're seeing, and they just recognize that, yeah, that body's cool. Rather than, I think a lot of people, if they don't expose themselves to these different types of bodies and different types of just different people in general, it's really easy to put judgment if thinking that someone looks weird or someone looks ugly or someone is, what's wrong with them and things like that. And that's why I think this book is really beautiful, and that it just makes us really see how all of our bodies are amazing and they're cool and they are good simply because they are our bodies. So what I did first with the kids is we read the book and we went through it, and it took a long time because every page has so many amazing different bodies. And, the kids ask questions, and then we ask like, hey, do is someone in your family reflected on the page, or different things like that? Or they ask, all of these different questions. And it was a really neat experience. So then after we read the book, we wanted to do an activity where students could really see how their own body is really cool. And so that's when we did this self-portrait activity. So I actually had previously went and printed all of these pictures, and we just use the students' school pictures, and we put them into the Canva template, which I'm going to show you right away. I will show you the Canva template so you can see how to use it with your students. And you'll see here in the example how half of their picture is there and then the other half is blank, and they're just going to color in or draw in their self-portrait. So they kind of had a guide. So it's not just a free-form self-portrait. They had this guide of this half of the picture of their face. And So we had students, look at their hands and look at their body, and we had all of these different colors, skin tone crayons that I had gotten from Target. The crayons itself didn't really color that great, but the kids loved that they, could go and find a color that looked like their skin, and then they took that, and after they found one that they felt like reflected their skin, they also had a black marker or black kind of a Sharpie pin, and they outlined, actually they probably used the pencil first. This is a few months ago, so I'm trying to remember exactly. They used the pencil first to draw their face when they were happy with it. Then they used the marker to outline, and then they went and colored. And the classroom also had a mirror, so I encouraged them, they could go look in the mirror if they wanted to see themselves, and they also had the picture there. So it was just a really, really cool activity, especially with the age range of like 3 to 6 year olds. And to see their different developmental levels in terms of artistry and drawing, and then also just the different self-perceptions, and it was really neat. So I'm gonna switch over to the screen recording now so you can see what it looks like in terms of the Canva template. And I want to say too that I got this idea from a blogger, and I'll be sure to link them in the description, because I was trying to find activities that go along with this book, and this great blog came up, and that was where I got the activity. So I want to make sure that they get credit for coming up with this incredible experience that I had with students. So let's go over the screen recording. So here's the screen. You'll see that when you click the link, the Canva template link, it will take you to a page like this. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna click Edit Template. And you'll need to be logged into Canva, but there should be a free education level if you don't already have one. I'm actually just gonna I have the same thing pulled up here, but I have some other things set up already. So you'll see that this is a white box. So that's how you get half of the paper to be blank. When I first did it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna print the whole picture, then I'm gonna cut the picture in half and glue it to paper. And after I printed like 2 of them, I was like, oh, I'm making this way more complicated. I can just put this white box and it just won't print at all. So that's what I did here, and I have the template ready for you to go. So all you're gonna do is gonna upload your pictures. Like I said, I use the students' school portraits, but if that framing isn't right, you can just take a picture like behind a white background. That's going to be the easiest with your students, or you can put it into Canva and remove the background if you want. You don't have to, but it's something that you could do. So I'll show you what to do. This is just the portrait I use for the example. So if you wanted to just remove the background, you can edit it, click Edit Image, and just remove the background, and it will just keep my face. Now my hair, with the different hair, like little hairs and stuff, it might not be super accurate. Yeah, so I didn't love the way that looked, so that's why I ended up just keeping the background and just keeping it original. So you'll see here, you can leave it like this, and this one's actually lined up pretty well. I didn't need to move this over. You can move it over if you need to, or you can move this over also if you need to. So my face was quite small here, and it was a lot of the body. So what I did actually is I double clicked it and I enlarged my face and then just moved it over. Oh, so I'm going to move it over a bit more so it's in the middle. A little bit of guessing. I think that's pretty good right there. And then I just printed it. So then you just copy, or I guess I didn't print it yet. You'll copy this, and then you'll do the next kid. So I'll do a different picture of me. Put it here, same thing. I want mostly the face, so I'm going to make sure you double click and move it within the picture like this. If you just move the picture, it's going to shift that. So you got to double click and move the picture here. All right, so this would be, another example, and then I could, next kid, same thing. Then when you're done, you're gonna just export, download, and you can just do it as a PDF, and it will save as one big file, and then you can print it. If you have a color printer at school, you can print it at school, or I just printed this at Office Depot, Office Max, whatever it's called. And yeah, so that's how you do this activity. All right, so once again, I loved this activity with the students. I was really amazed at what they're able to create, and I'll put my own kids' examples up, and you can just see like between the 3-year-old and the 6-year-old the difference of what they were able to create. And I just love any activity that is just instilling this deep sense of connection with yourself, but also appreciation for you and your uniqueness and who you are. And I just think it builds pride and it builds self-confidence. And if I was to do this again with that age, I would love to do one at the start of the year and the end of the year to see how much they change in a year. And then also like in terms of what their picture looks like, but also in terms of how they view themselves, their ability to draw themselves, those different things. So yeah, this is just, I hope that you can do this activity with your students. So again, be sure to click the link so you can access the Canva template, and you can do this really easy. It's ready to go, and be sure to purchase this book, preferably from your local bookshop or from bookshop online, so you can support local bookstores. Again, though, like I love this book so much for myself. I think you're gonna find it beautiful, and I know your students are gonna appreciate it and be amazed at all of the different bodies that they see in the book, and hopefully just build some wonder for the different ways that our bodies look and function and feel and all these things. So I hope that you and your students have a great time with this. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can get more health resources. And also check out projectschoolwellness.com. And if you are looking for any sort of health education resource, please hit me up. I am happy to help you out. And I just hope that you have a fantastic time doing this activity with your students. And I'll see you in the next video.